penso che si sia avviata. Però non mi dice. Sì, registrazione iniziata, va. Ho iniziato io, perfetto.
But then I just pretend that they're students and
Siamo in registrazione, ve lo comunico.
Sì, è vero, è comparso adesso il simbolo della registrazione, perfetto. E a questo punto...
I will be your student. Okay.
No, mettiti qui accanto. Sì, e io che devo fare?
Aperta, I'm our vice director, and so I think you here a lot to do.
Io lascerei qui anche l'altro microfono da usare in caso questo si esaurisca come batteria, no? C'è questo qui che è meglio usarne uno per volta, così non ci sta il problema della batteria. E la cosa fondamentale, vabbè, adesso visto che stiamo registrando, dico una cosa agli eventuali fruitori di questo video, che il periodo 23 maggio, 23 giugno è il periodo di apertura dell'iscrizione al bando per il doppio titolo. Quindi chi pensa di approfittare di questa straordinaria occasione del double degree con la Leibniz University di Hannover deve ecco, buonasera, deve tenere presente, per un momento ho visto un'immagine collegata, deve tenere presente che il bando si apre il 23 maggio e si chiude il 23 giugno, quindi serve questo per l'iscrizione al doppio titolo e partire per il doppio titolo nel terzo dei 4 semestri della laurea magistrale. Ecco, detto questo, io cedo la parola a Maria Chiara Giorda che presenta la nostra ospite.
Grazie, thank you Carmen for being with us. Thank you even to Carla Noce and Federica Candido that are connected with us. Carla, I just say that we have the honor to have Carmen Becker from Hanover University with us. She's our reference in this occasion for the double degree with Hanover University. And maybe Carla, I will give you the floor for say something, since Carla, she's the coordinator for our course degree. And so, Carla, if you can switch on the mic and say something, it's very welcoming.
Yes, okay. Thank you. Yes, it's really a pleasure to have Carmen here with us. I'm so sorry not being there, but I hope we'll see in a couple of days, probably, perhaps if I'll be better. And what is important is the fact that we began with this double degree agreement. I think it was 3 or 4 years ago. I don't remember exactly, but now now it's time. We have first students who are prepared to go to Hanover, and we are very proud of this double degree agreement because we think that it's really a great opportunity for students to make such an experience, such a different experience with a different environment, different teachers, and so. And then what is also very interesting is the fact that I think that our program, University of Roma Tre and Hanover, are very complementary. There is the possibility to make a path to have a curriculum with a lot of different competences, skills, and so we believe in this project, and we hope that in next year the first students from Roma Tre will come in Hanover. So.
Thank you, Carla. I can just say that maybe Carmen Becker, she is in a comfort zone since she is an expert scholar on religions online and offline. So enough online and offline, and so we can share ideas. We can also, as we ask her to present the opportunity and also to present how it can be important to join this possibility of the double degree, what you can offer that we can't offer, and share idea about the present and the future. So I give you the floor, Carmen, and I thank you so much for being here, not only for today, but for the next days with us. We have a very strong and hard plan, but I will be with you. We all will be with you, and so thank you so much, and very welcome to Rome, and just take your time, space on and off for explaining us something about our learning and teaching religions in Hanover and between Roma Tre and Hanover University.
Yes. Well, first of all, I want to thank you, Alberto, Carla, and especially Maria Chiara for setting everything up, for organizing lectures and presentations. Maria Chiara, thank you very much. I know it's very difficult to motivate students to do some extra things, especially after the pandemic. So for me, it's very exciting to be here because I think we have the feeling in Hanover that we had a bad start with a double degree due to the pandemic. And also we set up at the same time a new master degree, which also started during the pandemic. And I have to tell you, the first year we only had 1 student. So this looks much better now. We have now 13 students inscribed, enrolled in our master degrees, in our master degree program, Religion in the Public Sphere. And from all the emails I'm getting right now, because currently there is the application period going on for students from outside the EU. So from all the emails I'm getting now, it's that there's a lot of interest also from outside the EU. So we're really looking forward to the next winter semester to see how many students we actually get and how we can look into the future. And we are, well, we right now have the feeling that this is the time to pick up the thread again, where we left it in 2019 when we were here last time. I was here together with our professor, Wanda Alberts, and my colleague, Steffen Förding, and well, then the pandemic happened. I went into parental leave, and now we're all back, and we are really eager and enthusiastic to do something and to think about a double degree. So thank you very much for having me, and I will introduce a bit what we can offer in terms of our double degree cooperation, also introduce our institute so that students and also colleagues here have an idea of what we are actually doing in Hanover. I'm not so much sure that we can offer things that you don't do here in Roma Tre, but as Carla said, just to be in a different country, to learn a different academic culture, I think this is already worth going out. Okay, let's start with the introduction of the Institute. The study of religion was established in Hanover in 1973, and it has 2 interconnected branches. So one branch, which is actually our reason for existence, is a teacher training program for religion education at schools.
Can you share the screen? Because
yes, we have to share the screen.
Oh, you cannot see the screen. Okay.
Thank you.
I have to put it there, right? Somewhere.
Otherwise, it's so little.
I go back with my presentation. You're still trying to figure out what we have to do.
Yes.
Okay.
It's connected.
Can you see the screen now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's perfect.
So I start over again. So let me introduce our institute, the Institute for the Study of Religion at Hanover University, first of all. On the main page here, you see the banner of our last big conference that we hosted in 2019. We hosted the biannual conference of the German Association for the Study of Religion, and the theme was conceptualizing religion. And we actually made it an international conference. We were able to invite colleagues from around the world. I think Maria Chiara, you were among them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But there were also colleagues from South Africa, from Japan, and from the United States, because we have a really strong international network, which we like to use for such occasions. So, in order to introduce ourselves, I think it's important to understand that we are not an institute with a long history. We are fairly new in comparison to other institutes in Germany. The study of religion in Hanover was established in 1973, and as I've said before, what is very important is that we have two interconnected branches. First of all, we are involved in teacher training for religion education at schools. And I will say a bit more, or we can discuss a bit about this later on. And secondly, we have, of course, the academic study of religion itself. And both are interwoven. That means that teacher training is not something that is set apart from the academic study. But, for example, me, who is more situated in the academic study of religion, also teaches courses in teacher training. So there's an overlap. And this is, I think, something peculiar or special about the German university system and how teacher training is integrated, but maybe you have similar experience here. About the people, from the picture, you can already guess that we are quite small. We have one professor. Currently, we have 6 researchers who, of course, also teach, and 1 secretary. Our professor is Professor Dr. Wanda Alberts. You can see her to the left of the screen. And the 6 researchers we have researchers in the pre-doctoral period who are writing the dissertations, and we have postdoctoral researchers, including me, for example, who are, who are somewhere between having just finished the dissertation and, looking for a position of a professor, so on different career stages there. And we are the people who actually teach in all the degree programs. So what do we do? What are our fields of interest? Or what are our foci? There is, I have to admit, and this might be a difference, that our focus is more on the contemporary study of religion in Europe, but also beyond. So we study religion in education, religion and migration. And also we have a colleague who studies the history of our discipline. So he looks at how the study of religion in Germany, but also in Europe and in North America has developed, especially since the Second World War, and the different theoretical and methodological discussions that we had and still have. Another focus point for us, or a commonality, I have to say, is that we understand religion as a discourse. So it's not something that is just naturally given, but religion is something that is socially produced. And this is how we actually approach religion when we do research. So we always ask, how is religion negotiated? How is religion inscribed in structures, inscribed in practices? And how does religion also change in the course of practices and in the course of history? When we think in terms of theory, I would say, and this is my own terminology, I would say that our perspective is more on critical theories in the study of religion. And please understand this very broadly. It's not that we only do Foucault or Adorno, but we take all of the theoretical apparatus that helps us to understand the social construction of religion and to look behind this construction, to understand how religion is shaped, by which actors, and also to understand the power relations behind it. We work a lot on the representation of religion, for example, in museums, in the media, and in textbooks. So we regularly offer seminars on this. A colleague of mine cooperates with museums in Hanover. So students go into the museums, they look at objects and how they have been discursively constructed as religious objects, for example. So there's a lot of hands-on also in our seminars. We do a lot of analysis of school books and textbooks in general, but also of media production, especially when it comes to the representation of Islam and Muslims in German and European media. We do a lot of media analysis in this sense. Another theme that comes up on and off again is to look at the historiography of religion and antiquity, but also in the Middle Ages. So for example, right now I'm teaching a seminar where we look at how Islam in the Middle Ages has been historiographically imagined by researchers. So how has the history of Islam in the Middle Ages been written, and what kind of interests go into the writing of history, for example. We usually combine social theory and cultural studies quite a bit, so we have a strong cooperation with our colleagues from the sociology department. This is partly due to the fact that we lack the classics at our university, and especially also quite a lot of languages that we would need to be more to have a cooperation with other disciplines. So we don't have, for example, the study of Islam in Hanover. We do not have the classics in general in Hanover. So the focus is very much on contemporary culture there, and from a social theory and cultural studies perspective. We have colleagues at the University of Göttingen, which has all these disciplines with whom we also cooperate. When we think in terms of actually doing research, we do a lot of discourse analysis, ethnography, and genealogy. So this is the kind of research we actually do. I myself, I'm usually the one in our department who does ethnography and also teaches the methods. And I combine it usually with discourse analysis, but with also lots of other methodological programs. And of course, very important for us as an institute is the didactics of religion and religion in education context. It's also the focus of our professor, because we are heavily invested in the teacher training of future teachers who teach the subject called norms and values at schools, at secondary schools in Lower Saxony, in the state of Lower Saxony. This is a subject that was introduced in the 1970s, but has changed its shape. So it was introduced in the 1970s to schools in Lower Saxony as an alternative to the confessionally bound.
I'm sorry, Carmen, you have to share the screen once again because you probably switched.
Really sorry for that. It's because I...
Perfect.
Okay. So, in order to produce teachers for this specific school subject, the university needs the study of religion, and this is why we exist, actually. It's our reason for existence. But we've driven quite well on this reason for existence, and we can use it also to do our academic study of religion. And it's a quite interesting field, as Maria Chiara will know. So that, as much as for the introduction, let me say a bit about our master's program. So we have, since the winter semester 2021-2022, we have a 2-year master's degree program, which is entirely taught in English. So there's no need of knowing German when you come to study with us, the master. And we have devised and teach this master in collaboration with the Institute of Sociology there. But as you know, we have a double degree track with Roma Tre, of course, but also with the Södertörn University in Stockholm. Up until now, we had one student who was also our first student who actually went to Sweden, to Södertörn, which was a really good experience for her. So she's our ambassador for the double degree right now. She's also a student assistant right now. And she's doing a lot of advertisement among students to take the opportunity to go out to Roma Tre or to Stockholm. The focus of our program, Religion in the Public Sphere, is that we look at the negotiation of religion in the public sphere, and here you should understand the public sphere as broadly as possible. We look at identity formation and how religion is implicated. We look at the reproduction of central classificatory systems, including religion. So, for example, we look at how the idea of secularity and religion is imagined and produced in different contexts and different ways, and we analyze this. And this, of course, involves narratives and power dynamics revolving around religion and what I call usually the co-constitutive notions, like if you talk about religion, you have to talk about non-religion. If you talk about religion, you have to talk about the secular, for example. And sometimes you have the dichotomy between religion and science, for example. So we discuss and analyze this in class, what this means in specific contexts. What is very important to understand, let me just amplify this a bit, is that as many universities in Germany, we have a modular structure in our courses. So that means, or in our programs, sorry for that. That means all of our courses are part of one module. So the modules encompass usually 2 up to 3 courses. And I just tried to visualize it here a bit. So one module can have, for example, 2 seminars or a seminar and a lecture as a course, and each of them is worth 5 credit points. And this is actually most of our modules in the master's degree program, Religion in the Public Sphere, consists of modules consisting of 2 courses. So usually our modules are worth 10 credit points. Sometimes in our study programs we have modules that are bigger, that comprise 3 courses, and that sum up then to 15 credit points. And this is just very important to understand in the beginning, because this will help you to understand how our program is structured. If you look at the setup, and let me again amplify this a bit so that you can see this. So this is just an overview of our study program in terms of modules. So you see what we have in the first, second, third, and fourth semester. Basically, what's important is that we have 3 thematic modules where we look at case studies, and also we discuss and analyze the data and how to interpret the data. Of course, we have an introductory module where we try to get actually all the students who come from the different parts of the world, where we give them the possibility to somehow get used to the topic, get used to the academic culture in Germany and in Hanover, and where they get an overview of all the different topics that can be of interest in the study program. We also have a methods module where I teach and another colleague from the sociology department. We focus on the qualitative study of religion, so we teach qualitative methods. And then in the third semester, for those students who do not go on the double degree track, we have a field module. That means they can either do their own research project or do an internship. And then, of course, the most important thing in our context is the window of mobility. This is for our students who go out to Roma Tre or to Södertörn in order to study there. And actually, this is quite nice, because in this module, window of mobility, we can put everything that they studied there into. So we don't have to go through the process of thinking about whether this fits into our modules. It's so broad. We think when they come here and study, I think we can trust everybody in Roma Tre and also in Södertörn that they will have a good study environment and that they will learn something. So it's like a container module, more or less, and we can put everything in there. And then in the fourth semester, there's the master thesis, of course, and we offer a colloquium for our master thesis, or for the students who embark on a master thesis in order to accompany them. So I will tell you a bit later on what we can offer in terms of modules to the incoming students, so the students from Roma Tre and Södertörn coming to us. And this is here. The problem is we don't have really fixed courses that we teach every semester. We're trying to get there, but very often we change courses in terms of topics. But what is fixed are the modules. So when students from Roma Tre or from Södertörn come to our institute, exactly, that they can take the following modules. Of course, the field module, but we would offer this in a much smaller version. Encompassing 10 credit points. So it's a smaller version of the field modules that our home track students take. And they can take 2 thematic modules. I've circled them in yellow here. the thematic model 1 on education research and the thematic model 2 on politics and law. In the thematic model 2, for example, I have a seminar that I want to teach regularly. It's based on the concept of the public sphere. So we read Habermas and Chantal Mouffe and others, but we also look at case studies, how religion in the public sphere is conceptualized, how it's analyzed, and so on. So we're trying to do some conceptual work there, but we link it with empirical work and data. This is just one example of how we fill these modules. But while we are trying to get this more structured in terms of courses, the courses can change quite a bit, depending also if we have guest lecturers who would like to teach there, and we want to, get their expertise into the master degree program. Furthermore, we have access to the study programs, the master degree programs from the colleagues at the sociology department. So if students from Roma Tre have an interest in specific courses being taught in the other master degree programs in the humanities, but which are not part of our modules, that is not a problem for us. We are quite flexible there. So, for example, we have North American studies right now being taught in English as well. Okay, if something is interesting, yeah, this is something that we would have to discuss with the colleagues, but it's quite flexible. We have an English master degree in philosophy of science, which is more philosophical, as you can guess. So if there's something interesting there that students think they would like to participate in, we can make this possible. That's not a problem. And also quite on spot. So when they arrive, and in the first week of the semester, we have an orientation week, and they see something in the course list of other master degrees, we can set this up for them. Okay, so some formalities, which is quite important, and which I've become slowly to learn in the process of actually. We are quite happy that we only had one student in our master degree program in the first round, because we learned a lot. One formality that we don't get around is that incoming students, so students coming from Roma Tre and from Soria, they need to officially apply for our master's degree program via the university's application portal, because otherwise they cannot be, that they don't show up in our system, and they won't be able to get our diploma at the end. This is just a formality, so of course they will get their place, but it's something that has to be done, so they need to upload their BA diplomas and stuff like this. The application period for students from the European Union and from Germany starts on the 1st of June and ends on the 15th of July. And I'm very much happy to help out if the online application procedure is not clear. It's there in English, but sometimes you know how bureaucracy works. It's not always intuitive, and students feel very free to contact me, and we have really nice colleagues at the immatriculation office, enrollment office, who help out also, and they are aware of our program, and they know that it's not about actually applying; it's more formality. Important to know is that we don't have tuition fees, of course, but we have a semester fee of about 400 euros. And this is to cover administrative costs, also to subsidize the cafeterias, the student cafeterias. That's how they can guarantee, cheap meals. And this also includes a semester ticket for public transportation during the semester. So you can use public transportation in the state of Lower Saxony, actually. But unfortunately not the fast trains. But you could travel to Hamburg, for example, for free. Yeah, you can use it within the city. So you can travel around. And everybody has to pay it. It's a solidarity system, more or less like an insurance. Everybody pays into it. It doesn't matter how much you use it. So our winter semester, and this is the semester where we have the exchange in the third semester, usually lasts from 1st of October until the 31st of January. The teaching usually starts on the third week of October. But there are a lot of welcome and introductory offers starting already in the beginning of October that might be really helpful for students from Rome to take. For example, from our international office, they have the welcoming week. They can also inscribe for language courses. So it is clear that they don't need to know any German. It's not required. But they have the opportunity to learn German with the language center there. And it's usually for free. There's a long list. But if they're interested, they can. They can take courses in academic English, which I heard are quite good. Students are enjoying this quite a lot. So these are all things that they can also check in the first weeks of October before teaching actually starts. In terms of teaching, and what we as teachers expect is that you will have to do as students the usual coursework, like reading, participating in discussions. Sometimes you will be asked to present something. So it's very interactive usually. We have 1 or 2 lecture courses where you could say, okay, this is really upfront lecturing, and the students are there to ask questions. But for the most part, it's really seminars in the sense of interacting. There will always be input from teachers, of course, especially if it's demanded from students, but it's very much interactive. And for each module, you will have to take an exam. So you don't take exams for each course, but for each module. And these can be an essay, there can be written exams, there can be oral exams, term papers, portfolios. There's a huge range of exam forms. These will be specified at the beginning of the courses in the first session by the teachers. And please always feel free and ask questions to the teachers. German students do that as well, because sometimes our students, especially when these students who have already studied in Germany, they don't know some exam forms. So yeah, this is about the formalities, but maybe when we discuss or have questions later on, there will be some more formalities that I have to mention. I have a slide here on living in Hanover. I think it's also important. I have the feeling we cannot really compete with Rome, and I'm sure we cannot. Hanover in Germany has the reputation of being an underestimated city. So it's one of the many cities in Germany of a medium size. It has about 500,000 inhabitants. So it is a true city with urban structures. But since it's not known as a metropolitan city or a cosmopolitan city, it is a bit under the radar a bit. And this is helpful in terms of prices of housing. So housing prices have been on the rise, but in comparison to Hamburg, to Berlin, to Munich, to Cologne, it's still really moderate. And it has some really nice areas, recreational areas. Hanover has the biggest urban forest in Germany. It is very flat, so it's perfect for cycling. I usually use my bike when I'm moving in Hanover, and we and my family will have a car, but sometimes we forget where we have parked the car because we haven't used it for such a long time. So it's really very accessible. There are a few quarters, of course, that are more lively than others. You see here a picture of one street. It's also near where I live. This street is very much known for its bars, for its small shops, for old cinemas. It's very affordable. And in the summer evenings and nights, there's a lot of hanging out, socializing on the street, and it's a really nice atmosphere. And since there's not a lot of tourism, it's really bearable, actually, when you live there. Also, cultural offers are very affordable. There are a lot of alternative cultural centers, like the Faust Cultural Center, offer a lot of cultural activities, also including migrants, with a lot of political activities as well. So it has its urban structures, and I think, of course, it's much calmer than Rome, but it has its pros, definitely. So I can only advise. I've never lived in Hanover before I came there and moved there in order to work. I come from near Cologne, and I have lived in Berlin and in Amsterdam and in Rotterdam. And I'm still enjoying it to live there. So this is as far as I wanted to introduce our program. Thank you. And I'm happy to discuss or have any questions.
Yeah, thank you so much. And Carla has a question. Yeah. We listen to you.
Can they hear you actually? I mean,
No. Okay, thank you so much, Carmen. Your presentation has been really very clear and really with a lot of information. Thank you so much.
You have any question, Carla? Caterina Moro, she's joined us. Hello, Caterina. She teaches, yeah.
Yes, probably one question about the modules and courses. An incoming student from Roma Tre, an outcoming, yes, okay, from Roma Tre has to choose modules, not a simple course. Is it not possible? Is it possible to do 2 modules and one simple course, a single course, or isn't possible?
We would have to see. I mean, the standard, what we can make sure is that these 3 models that I mentioned here can be taken, and this is also taught in English. But as I've said before, if there is a different interest and there is a course taught in English and that might be of interest to the students, we can find a workaround. We will just say, okay, we accept this for module, I don't know, for the thematic module 1, although it was not planned for this module. And what you do here doesn't really matter to us, so how you recognize the courses. But we will surely find workarounds there. The problem is only, I mean, the point is, it's within the modules, you also have a choice. And especially if you can follow courses in German, you have a variety of choice. Very often, colleagues say that we teach in German and the discussion is in German, but you can do your exams, for example, in English. That's not a problem. So there we have a variety of courses, and then they can, for example, for the thematic module 2, we had, I think last semester we had 5 courses on offer, and they can, but some of them are taught in German, and they can choose 2 of them. Okay. But for students who can only study in English, the choice is much smaller. But we can look at what we can make happen with our colleagues from the other departments. The problem is only that the course list for the semester is usually at the beginning of the semester break that we have them. So I don't know right now what we will teach. Oh, I know what I will teach roughly, but I don't know, it has not been fixed yet. Okay. It's a longer process of coordination. So this, but I mean, we can do this on a very short notice. I mean, Carla, we have to see or find a procedure how we set this up. Perhaps that shortly before the student arrives, we can go through the course list that we should have then in September, for example. And see what might be good and what might be fitting. It's a more pragmatic approach, I think.
Thank you.
Yeah, surprise.
Issue.
Yes.
Minute. And I know this is always difficult in double degree programs, you know, to square the circle.
Yes.
And I think that this recording will be very useful for us for explaining better than we could do the situation in your university. So thank you so much. Yes.
And I mean, we also have one candidate who wants to come to Roma Tre in the winter semester. And I told her for us it really doesn't matter what she's going to do here, as long as you are okay with it, and it's somehow part of the broad idea of the study of religion. Okay. We have this wonderful window of mobility module, and we put everything in there.
She will attend the English course.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Well, she has started to learn Italian at our language institute last semester. So she's very motivated, but I'm afraid it won't be enough to follow courses in Italian, I guess. But Carla, I think I sent you an email, if I remember correctly. I hope so, right?
Better, thank you.
With her name, I wasn't sure for a minute there. Yeah, and she's very, very excited to come. So I'm happy that we have the first student coming.
We will have the first students coming here and there. Yeah, it will be a good opportunity. Yes. I don't know if Caterina or Federica has some questions. I'm completely satisfied with the presentation, and I thank you, Carmen, so much for her time.
Perhaps to mention, we have since the 1st of April, we have an Instagram channel. It's there, Relpap Hanover, so follow us. It's for our master degree program.
Very important because we have just an Instagram for the department, but we
should follow each other. That's good to know. Yeah. Because our student assistant, Julia, our first student, she said we need that because this is how students or prospective students get their information.
So we can have some social network.
That would be great, yeah. So, and also please pass this on to interested students. We have some first information stuff up there. And we're trying to get better. I'm better at this. I'm not very natural with Instagram, I have to admit. I'm not used to constantly take selfies and advertise. Our master degree. They do, yeah. And they convince me that this is the way to go. And
Federica, your mic.
I want to, nice to meet you, Carmen. I want I want to thank you for your presentation. And it's a very pleasure to meet you and to host your lectures at our university. So thank you and nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Nice.
Yes.
So, I mean, if we don't have any more questions, we can stop the recording. And I will, Carla, if you agree, I will bring around Carmen in our department and show her the pool, our offices, and the environment around. And then tomorrow she will have a very strong day. We will have a very strong
I miss students.
day.
I'm looking forward to that.